Hi, Abu. Good to see you again. How have you
Hello.
been?
I've been all right. I've been good. I'm learning a hell of a lot about game dev.
We'll get into that in a minute. The actually first question I wanted to ask is, have you found a place to hang your painting yet?
Oh no, I'm looking avidly. Like it's funny. Like me and my wife are genuinely like, what? Could we put it on this wall? No, then it will be missed by this. And then if we look at, oh no, but that would be really look good. And so yeah, we're literally looking for the right place. But what's so great is that I've been showing family and friends who have ever come in, and I've been like, look at this came from the game. Like it's a reaction from the game, and everyone's like, wow. It's like, yeah, I'm loving it. So it's good.
That's awesome to hear. For anyone that hasn't watched or didn't catch it yet, we actually held a YouTube live stream with Abu a few weeks ago to be able to talk about and recount the tales of Kalunga, the Bantu god of death. So if you haven't seen it yet, there should be a link in the chat. Please feel free to go and watch that one. But in the meantime, we do want to talk about your entry into game dev. Because you started off in acting. You've gone a little bit further into like the geekdom space more and more with Assassin's Creed, and now Game of Thrones or House of Dragons. House of the Dragon. I feel like by people.
I always call it House of Dragons as well, so don't worry about it. It's I think that's the reason why also it's that the handle of the show is House of Dragons.
Okay, not wrong now.
It makes total sense.
So how has that transition been, just from going into from being an actor into now game development?
Yeah, again, like it's quite seamless in the sense of like it all stems from the place of just wanting to tell stories and wanting to really share stories. And so, you know, again, the role as the actor of telling stories is no different to a developer in a way. It's just a different way of doing it. And I think like that's what I've been just, discovering and sort of jumping into as a whole. It's just finding other ways and means of telling cool stories.
For sure. Yeah. I mean, the game's been out for almost exactly a month, I think, or
yeah.
How's it been so far? What's the reception been?
It's a roller coaster, man. Like it's funny. Like I think there was it felt like a celebration and a victory on the day of launch, and then the next day it almost feels like you're grieving. Like it's because again I think it's that whole thing of you've put something out there that isn't yours anymore, or you kind of let something go in a way, and yeah, I've kind of gone through this phase now of I can't believe it's been a month. Like it's gone like so quickly, but also at the same time I'm like, yeah, it felt right, it felt good, and it's the reception. It just people keep talking about us, and people keep playing it and experiencing it and sharing, and that's such a wonderful feeling.
Yeah,
like such a wonderful feeling to feel like you are affecting people on such on an emotional and human level. Like it's really beautiful to witness.
For sure. Was there any feedback that's been surprising or that you didn't expect so far by the live painting? Yeah,
I mean, yeah, right. The painting is definitely one of them. But no, I'd say like everything has always been quite a surprise. The positivity, the negativity, even at times. Like I think like it's all been, funnily enough, it's been really useful. Like I found elements of it being quite useful, especially feedback, because again you can kind of filter through like the useful negativity and the terrible stuff, but like what you end up finding is that everyone out there really just wants to have a good experience and they want your game to succeed. And so some of the positive feedback we take on board, and we really kind of like we're in this sort of quality of life phase right now where we're trying to improve the quality of life of the game overall. And so like we take the positive feedback, and when but then they're like, oh, you could have done this, you could have done that, like they could have been nicer if you made like Fog of War or whatever, do you know what I mean? And whereas like the negative feedback of like, it just felt clunky, it felt like this, and you're like, cool, we'll take that on board, and then we'll also use that. So it's just feedback, because at the end of the day everyone wants to have a good time. So yeah, we've just been building on that and really playing with that as well as a whole. So yeah, it's been great.
Nice. So I'm curious because the ZAU is one of the or the first, I think, game under AAA umbrella that's playable, completely playable in an African language. So especially for this kind of event, I mean, what does that mean for you, and what do you think that means for the African gaming community as well?
So just to kind of point out, we're not AAA yet, but I tell you one thing, it was an amazing feat to get EA to do a game in Swahili, like through and through.
What were those conversations like a meeting room?
Do you know what I mean? Like, it's honestly like I remember pitching this game to them, and again, it's like, this is the first time ever, studio, small studio kind of thing. We are indie. We're working with a very indie budget. I can feel it. But like, one of the things that we really wanted to do was say, hey, we want Swahili here. And we want Swahili, we want the Swahili voiceover to be of a caliber of like what you would listen to in like a Dragon Age or like or a Mass Effect, right? And we're like, we've never done Swahili before, and I'm like, great, then we can all learn. So it was really, that was something that to me was really important, because again, it's about pulling from not only my perspective but also the authenticity of it all. Like, it's so important to be authentic. It's so important to be real and truthful in these aspects. So yeah, that was kind of where it all kicked off.
Yeah, thanks. I did want to talk about the beginning and like first stages of the development of the game, and just where you even start.
Oh man, you start everywhere and nowhere. I think, for me, where I started or how I began, I knew that I had to tell a story about grief and about that journey of grief. And because it was so related to my father, I had to almost represent and respect my relationship with him, in the best way possible, which was, in my eyes, it was a video game. And so for making ZAU, I knew the character. I kind of started with the character, which was ZAU. He was always going to be called ZAU. And it was one of those ones where, again, I had an idea of how they would look, how they would, how they would behave, how they would act, and the world in which they were going to be in, which was going to be a representation of the loss of their father. Right. So something, and that's kind of how it started. When it came to, then you just, for me, then it was like, okay, cool, I've got this idea of how this character looks, I need to see it. So then you contact artists. So I contacted a Nigerian artist called Godwin Akpan, who essentially gave and created the concept arts, the early concept arts of what Kenzera was going to look like, and build it from there, which was really awesome. So yeah, so that's kind of how you start, in a way. Sorry, my daughter's screaming in the background. I don't know why, but she's okay, guys. She's okay.
She's well fed and taken care of. This is sweet. I know so the game was meant to explore lots of themes of grief, of loss. I'm curious, just from my own perspective, having played the game for the past few weeks now, is it also meant to explore rage?
Rage?
Yes. Okay.
It explores yeah, because there's the amount. Well, I mean, I think I'm saying yes now to cover my bases, because I feel like I've been receiving a lot of rage from all the chase sequences and all the boss fights. So I'm saying it's all intentional.
It's like, maybe this is just one of the stages, like we're going through the stages. Number of times that I've had to put my controller down, just like out the window.
It's okay to hate the game, like, I'm telling you. Like, I went through the same thing, right? But the thing is that I needed to share the same feelings with people. The thing about those sequences, and this is the one thing I remember talking to the team about with these chase sequences. So I remember playing Ori and the Blind Forest and doing the waterfall chase.
Yeah.
And that drove me nuts. It did. After having played it, though, and done it and mastered it, if I was to do it again, I feel like I could, pretty much, conquer it, right? But the feeling of accomplishment was akin to that of the way that I felt during playing Sonic on the Mega Drive when I did less casino level, which was a pain in the ass. And I remember playing that with my dad, and I wanted to capture that. I wanted to capture that feeling of it's strife, it's difficult, you have to go through it, you know, and especially in the two spaces that it appears in with fear and also, you know, after the one of the boss fights. It was important to kind of capture that. So I totally get when people are like, I have tried this 40 times. Yeah. This isn't now. I can't do this.
Like, I'm not gonna get over these spikes. I don't know what I'm supposed to do.
Honestly, but when you do it though, that feeling's good, right?
I'll put it down for like the rest of the night, and then I come back, and then I beat it. I was like, oh, okay, yeah, I just beat it.
It's amazing. It's like, and that's essentially it. Like, you know, I remember, again, I think the games that I really struggled playing when I was younger and couldn't complete, if I tried it again now, I feel much better at it. But it's because of time, right? And I think that's the thing. It just takes time. I remember the biggest advice I'd give to players, if you haven't got to there yet and you haven't done it, or if you're stuck there, the best advice I can give you is find the rhythm of the chase. Don't rush into it. Don't run it. And this is the same thing with every combat scenario as well, because everyone's like, oh my god, I'm being swamped, I'm panicking. It's like everything has a rhythm to it. And that's, I guess, the sort of the representation of grief that I wanted to capture. It's like sometimes you can feel being overwhelmed when you're on this journey of grief, when you're in it, when you're in the eye of the storm. But truly, like, if you find that rhythm, it will all make sense.
That's really helpful, Sam. I know we talked about the last time that we were all together, we had also talked about the next iterations of the game and how you might have that story might expand. Do you think that it would stay within the platform kind of Metroidvania style, or do you?
Oh no! I think it'll be it could be anything and everything. You know, the way I've kind of designed the universe of Kenzera is it respects the story first, the human story first, before it goes into the gameplay aspect or anything like that, you know? Like, there's nothing stopping us from exploring, for example, like a roguelite or like an open world or, you know, third person or top down, you know? I think that's the kind of space I wanted to create with this and build from this. So yeah, everything's game.
Do you have an idea of, just because I know people are already wondering, do you have an idea of when the next iteration is going to be ready? How much longer do you have to wait?
Oh man, you can't ask me that kind of question.
I know it's only been a month, but are you working on the next one right now?
I mean, like, we are. Like, we're conjuring, and cooking. Like, you know, the team's kind of like working on quality of life features for ZAU at the moment, but also we're kind of planning what our next thing is going to be. So yeah, we're definitely cooking. It's funny. It's like we're in a really weird time at the moment in the industry where it's like it's hard to say like a definite, because of how sort of unstable it is. So we're just sort of in this space of like, let's just keep our head down. Let's, you know, the more support we get, the more people who buy our game and play our game, like the more it just shows like, hey, people want this. You know, and I think like that's kind of, you know, where we're at the moment. Like we're showing, even like, no matter what's going on out there, that people actually want this. And like, yeah, it's just the more of that we get, the better, and the more like, the more risks we can take, essentially.
For sure. Was that something that you were thinking about as the game was coming to launch, like just everything that's happening in the industry and how people are going to receive it?
Yeah, it was a thought, definitely. I think it's, you know, it's definitely something to think about and to kind of see. But again, at the same time, you've got to also connect with, like, at the end of the day, you were just there to make an art. You know, you're there to kind of express yourself, and that's the best. All you can do is your best, and that's kind of what you need to be driven by, in truth. Because yeah, you can't control how the industry behaves and how it works. You can affect change, and like, you know, this is something that I'm really kind of keen on. I've got my ideas and my thoughts as to how to make those changes and how to kind of better elements, but you can only get there once you've proven yourself and shown like, hey, I do have a voice, you know?
For sure. So I don't know if you've seen this trend online across pretty much every social channel, but the challenge is when you post your game and then you state the 3 games that were inspirations behind it.
Oh yeah, I've seen that, yeah.
So are there 3 inspirations?
Yes, there were. I actually took part in it. I actually said, and these are the 3 games. It was Ori and the Blind Forest, Kingdom Hearts, and Devil May Cry. And really, truly, like, the reason why, you know, Ori and the Blind Forest, again, as I kind of mentioned, it's a great world of kind of making you feel like you're escaping in it and kind of losing, you know, getting lost in it. I would say, like, Kingdom Hearts is one of those games which, I mean, I think it's just an incredible game. Sorry, it sounds like a war as well as happening outside my house. Is in the middle of a battlefield, everybody. East London. But no, yeah, I would say, like, you know, Kingdom Hearts was one of those games where it was the first time I had met a protagonist, or was, you know, playing as a protagonist who felt weak, was vulnerable, or, like, you know, who didn't necessarily see the potential of their own self. Every time we've kind of gone into these games, there's always been like an action man kind of hero, right? Whereas with Sora, if they feel, you know, from my perspective anyway, it felt like Sora didn't know what they were doing to begin with, and they had to learn as they went along. And that was something that really resonated and stuck with me. And that was, you know, one of the big influences. I mean, even like our title screen before you get into the main game is paying homage to Kingdom Hearts. If you look at the art style,
look at that again.
Yeah, you should look at that. And the Devil May Cry was the final game, and that's because in its combat, there is this almost feeling of like a chaotic ballet or this dance that, you know, you can spam the buttons and not know what you're doing, but you can also find the meticulous element and surgical element of it all that I really wanted to capture, because again, it felt like this was the perfect way of kind of also describing grief. This feeling of not really knowing what to do, or, you know, you're given all these tools or these things that you know have to do, but you then have control over them. You have agency when going on this journey of grief, right? Whether you go forward, go back, like, a lot of the agency falls on you.
Do you think, like, as you expand the story, you'll continue to explore other emotions as well, or is it more focused on the mythology, the spirituality side of the story?
Yeah, I think definitely. I think ultimately, you know, when we look at other games and other ideas, we always start with, as I say, I call it the human truth. Like, what makes us human? You start from there and then you build out from there. I think, you know, and that could be, for example, like right now it was grief, you know, it could be love. It could be, you know, it could be elements of, you know, parenthood. Like, I think, like, these are the things that really interest me and excite me in regards to telling stories. It's like, what makes this story human? And then you build out from there, you know?
Definitely. What are you playing right now?
I'm playing Dave the Diver, and it's amazing. It's incredible. Huh?
Which platform is it on?
I'm playing it on my Steam Deck, and it's on. So yeah, it's on I think it's on it's on PlayStation and Steam and PC, and I'm loving it. It's like I can switch off. You know, I can just. Yeah. It's incredible. Like, all I care about is my sushi bar, man. Like, that's all I care about right now. It's like making sure that I've got enough fish for my sushi bar to, you know, to turn profit. Like, it's so good. It's so good. And yeah, I'm loving it. Like, it's a game I would never normally play. Like, I've never played these kind of games. Like, normally I'm a Hades guy, or, like, you know, but I've also kind of put into myself, like, I've got to try everything. I think, like, in the same way that when you go and watch a film, you're not going to just always watch Marvel films. You're actually going to try and dabble in other elements and other things, right? Because it's an art form. I'm kind of trying to approach that with games as well, and kind of approach it in the sense of, like, oh yeah, I'd never play Dave the Diver normally, so I'm going to play it. Yeah.
I haven't heard of it. I'm going to have to look for it after this. And
Yo, it's great.
Yeah.
It's great. And if you've got PlayStation Plus, it's on PlayStation Plus. So
perfect. I don't have a Steam Deck, but I do have PlayStation Plus, so I think I am.
Great. Yeah. Get it on PlayStation. Yeah, play on PlayStation Plus, because it's yeah, you'll be surprised.
Yeah. Okay. I'm interested in that one. I'm curious too around just the way that people are able to use games to process grief on any, you know, emotion that we might have. Are there specific games that you go to for a specific emotion, you know, if you're stressed out or if you're happy?
Yeah, no, I kind of just play what's there, you know. I think the act of playing a game, the act of diving into the medium is where you lose yourself, where you escape. So there isn't necessarily a game out there I would say that it's my, like, go-to for X, Y, and Z. Do you know what I mean? Like, I think ultimately I kind of just dive into them and just play them and allow the emotions that come out of them to affect me in its own way, you know?
Yeah. I usually go to like a Mario Kart and or Halo when I'm stressed out, just so I can shoot a couple runs and I'm fine.
I used to I get that. I used to funnily enough, it was Call of Duty for me when I was younger, but like again, or like, you know, FIFA, you know, and like these kind of games that you can kind of like switch on and then switch off. But in truth, again, like now as I kind of get along, like I kind of just try everything, you know?
Yeah. Are there any games that you've tried yet or looking to start soon that are from the continent that you feel like you'd like or you're interested in trying?
Oh man, you know, there's a few studios actually that I'm looking at in regards to like what they're going to be releasing, you know, next. Especially in Yamcop, I'm like looking at them and those guys and what they're building. I think they're going to be building something really, really cool, and I can't wait to see what they kind of conjure next. So yeah, like it's an exciting time because I do truly believe like the sort of the African gaming market is like, it's gonna blow up. Like look, it already is. It's already growing, and it's just now about seeing more, which I'm really kind of excited for. And what's so great as well is like because I'm also a Kenyan citizen, I've got my Kenyan passport, I do want to open a studio up in Nairobi and just kind of, you know, tap into there as well. So yeah, like it's so exciting. It really is.
It really is. We've been just, I think, trying to make more of the connection, especially just between everything that's coming out of the continent and all of us across the diaspora who are looking for kinds of games like these, like ZAU, that just represent us and make us feel all the things that we want to see. So I'm excited to see more of these games coming up. One more question actually from around ZAU. Actually two. One, what does ZAU mean?
What does ZAU mean? As a name?
Yes.
I just made it up. Listen, man. If you know, if what's his name? If George Lucas can make up Skywalker, I can make up ZAU, man. Don't come at me. What does ZAU mean? I made that up.
I was like, there's has to be a name. I know it means something.
Listen, absolutely, yeah, I made it up. I'm gonna come in with some deeper meaning about it. I'm like, nope, no, I made that up. That's a made up name.
I respect it.
And I'm actually really happy about that. Because everyone's like, oh, what does it mean? I'm like, nah, it's just made up.
Maybe it means something in Bantu.
Nope, made it up. It's so funny though. All my friends and like, you know, even people in the studio, when they're like, ZAU? I was like, yeah, ZAU. They're like, what does it mean? I'm like, nothing. It's just ZAU. It's a cool sounding name. Do you think, you know, when someone, you know, called, I don't know, George, they were like, what does George mean?
It sounds like a powerful name. It's like, yeah, I believe it. Yeah,
exactly, because I made it up.
But it means I wouldn't believe it. Let me see. The other question I had is, if there was anything that you could change about the game, what would that be?
Oh, that's a deadly question, because you're asking the creative director what could he change of his game. Everything. Truthfully, I don't think I would change anything, because I'm aware of how we got there, and you know, I look at why we got there and like the sacrifices we had to make in order to get there, you know. Of course, I would have loved, you know, to have all the quality of life features that we're trying to put in now there. Yeah. But we wouldn't have. But then the thing is, it's like, how do you build a community? You want them to feel like they're a part of this, or you want them to feel like they're a part of the building process of it. So that's what I'm excited for. It's like, okay, give me your ideas, and then we can build on top of it. So yeah, I don't know. I don't think I would change anything. Maybe I think if we could, I would have loved, like, you know, more animated cinematics, or like, you know, that kind of stuff, because again, but we were working on such a tight budget. Like, we couldn't afford that. We had to then do the comic book style sort of portraits, but
Right.
I really like those portraits as well. So like we wouldn't have got that if we had the time to do the cinematic elements of it all. So you see, this is what I mean by like when I look at it really truly, I wouldn't change anything,
No, that's completely fair.
Yeah.
Do you have a favorite level or favorite act?
Yeah, Act 2.
I'm on Act 2 right now.
Yeah, Act 2. Act 2 for me is like, yeah, I'm really chuffed and happy with that.
Yeah.
It felt like we were almost in our element on that one. Like, yeah, Act 2.
All bag that day.
Yeah.
Nice. So I think that is all the questions that we've had. Thank you again for giving us even more of your time to chat more about ZAU.
Thank you for having me.
Everybody loves it, so we're always appreciative to get to explore more about it with you. So everyone else, thank you all for watching and for being a part of our World Africa Day of Play. We're always excited to be able to explore even more about ZAU with you. We can't wait to see more from the game. So thanks everyone. We'll see you on the next one. Bye, everyone.
See you, everyone.